Hey everyone, I'm back again. Today I thought we might try and do something in Photoshop. I haven't done much in Photoshop. And while I know a lot of you don't want to use Photoshop, sometimes what you see in Photoshop you can then apply to other software as well. I have found that because I know Photoshop reasonably well, well I think I do, that when I go to some new software I can usually work out how to use it. So today I thought we might look at different ways of changing colours in images. We're going to look at 4 different ways. One is with changing the hue of a colour, curves, using the curves. There are different ways you can change colour. Maybe just adding a block of colour and blending it. And the last way is to, and I've completely forgotten, is using gradients. There are gradients and things that you can use. I knew I should have written that down. Okay, so like I said, we're going to use Photoshop, and I've picked 5 photos, and so each one we're going to do something a little bit different. So I think for this one, we'll just open this up into Photoshop, and we'll have a look. And I think what we're going to do with this one is just, I'm not interested in doing anything else to these images except playing around with the colors in them. So we're going to use curves for this one. Now, I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but you can actually, there's a little thing here, RGB, and if you click down, it comes up with 3 different colors, red, green, and blue. So let's say we start with red. So you can technically add more red to your highlights, or if you go down the other way, you can see it'll be the opposite color, and it's sort of adding more blues, greens. I think on the color wheel that would be green. I can never remember, so it's not so good. And then you can do the same thing if you come down here to the other end, to the darker end, and if you can add reds to the shadows, or you can add more of the green, greeny blue, sort of more an aqua, to the shadows, or to the darker areas of your images. So like if we went like this, you can see, we're going to overdo all of this. Of course, you would never show your images like this. And then if we do up here, technically, I wonder what would happen if you went all the way. Interesting. Anyway, let's just redo it. Set it back to normal. So then if you went to green, you could add green. Not really sure why you would, but you never know if you come down. I guess the opposite to green on the color wheel is, green's not really on the color wheel, it's kind of orange. Just let me think about this. So you've got red, green, red, blue, and so it would be red, but it's actually it looks more like a purple color. Weird. It can be quite an interesting way to enhance. I think you can do them together too, so you could add more than one, maybe. I don't know why you would, but one that I have used a lot is under blue, is actually to bring the blue down, and it just can make an image. It puts yellow into the image, so it kind of can add a warmer tone to your image. That's adding blue. Go back this way. So it can be, it's not something I would do a lot, but it can be quite an interesting way to just add that little bit more colour. So that's one way to add colour, or I suppose it's adding colour, isn't it? Changing the colours in your images. Okay, so let's just delete that for now. And let's try a different image. Let's try this one. So with this one, we want to try changing the hues of the colours. And you do that with the Hue and Saturation. And what you want to do is, this is the bit you want. So you can change the mask, or you could say, let's pick all the yellows. And let's see what colours we can make the yellows. So you could make them red. You can see the hue slider here. You can make them purple, blue. You could change them to any colour you wanted. Let's put them to the reddy. And now we could pick, say, all the greens. And green can be a hard colour because it's often made up of lots of colours. I don't know where to leave it. Of course, another way of doing this could be to, let's just get rid of that layer. Oh, God. Delete. Thank you. Is go up to select, and let's say colour range. And let's say we want to pick the greens. Let's say we want it to be a lot more. How's that? You can add a second colour. So if you weren't too sure, it's probably too much. Let's just tone it down a bit. Now we're going to go OK. And then we'll add, so it's getting ready for the mask. And now we'll add the Hue and Saturation. So now it's only going to affect those areas. So if I do Alt and then click on the mask, you can see the mask over the image there. We'll just do Alt and click on it back. So let's just say for this whole image, we're just going to try changing everything that isn't masked and see what we get. Quite interesting, but you can see we probably should have tried more greens because we didn't get those greens. If we add greens to here, oops. Yeah, see, this is kind of thing. The problem is with green, because green often has a lot of yellow in it as well. So you kind of got to pick the yellows as well. Like watch these colours here. When we do this too, like even though we're going to change, oh, actually we should do this in a different layer because it was masked, silly me. So we've got so you see the greens up here are changing, even though we're trying to change just the yellows. And if we go to the greens now and do the same thing, see they've got a lot redder. And now they're changing again. So it's one thing, I mean, it's quite an interesting process doing this, but you also have to think about how, what these colours are actually made up of when you're going through all of this. Will we see if there's any blues in here? Yeah, see the bridge is changing colours, or the bridges. It's a fun thing to play around with. But, yeah. So sometimes when you see images of people and they've got like, you know, pink grass or something, this is often how they've done it. I mean, you can, if you want to, let's get rid of this one here. Actually, let's get rid of both of them. And let's say we just want to pick the water. So let's pick the water, and we're going to use the lasso tool just to do a rough selection, and we'll just go right around. I missed some there. Do shift and get that bit done. Why didn't it work? Shift. Oh. Okay, let's start again. Okay, now we'll do Shift F6 and do a feather. So we'll just do it. Whatever. Now, if we press the Hue and Saturation, you'll see when it comes up, it's come up with a mask. So if I do Alt, you can see the mask and you can see the feathering there as well. Okay, so we don't want the mask. Thank you. So let's say in this one, or let's just try doing the whole image, the whole bit, the bottom bit. So you can see all the colors are changing. Maybe that's like a reflection of what's coming, although it's already there. It's already autumn in this image, so it doesn't, but I mean, you get the idea. I mean, it's one of those things you just need to play around with. It can be a bit temperamental. It can be tricky. Like I said, you kind of have to know what colors are in things. Like greens are always has quite a bit of yellow in it. Sometimes some cyan, sometimes some blue as well. So, and just selecting an area and working on it can be a really good way of doing it. Okay, so let's move on to the next image. So that's using the hue. Now, this one I picked because this can be a cheat's way of doing a bit like this was taken at sunset, but there isn't obviously a lot of sun there. So what if we add a layer? And then we go over here to, it's the gradient tool, but what we actually want is the paint bucket tool. And then come down here, click on the colors, and then we'll work, let's say we pick a color from the image. Okay, so let's say okay, and then we just click on it, and we get the complete colour going over the whole top. Obviously that's not going to work, so we need to blend it, and here are all our blending options up here. It's a good idea to go through them to see. Like that one's not too bad. That's multiply. Some of these I've never used and never would use. Although that one's not too bad. Interesting. You just go through them all until you get the one that you like. I use soft light a lot, but it doesn't look that good on this image. Hue, saturation, colour, luminosity. Which one was really good? Linear, but let's try that for a second. But let's try now over here with the opacity just for this layer and try turning it down. Like it's a bit, I'm not really sure about that. I'm not really sure about this colour. Multiply was pretty good too. Let's put the whole colour back. But let's try changing the colour a bit. Let's go to let's make it a really bright orange and see what happens. I don't have to start a layer or do anything. All I have to do is click on it because this layer's already has already been blended, so it'll just blend it the same. Yeah, that might be a bit too much. Let's try if it was soft light. Yeah, no, it doesn't really work. Let's try multiply, but let's try just taking it down a bit. Does that give us more colour? Gives us more colour on the car, but I'm not really sure about the rest of it. One of the things I always do too is to go over here to the eye and turn it off and then turn it back on and just do that until I think, yep, okay, it worked. And I actually prefer it with the orange on it than without. Sort of gives it that really strong, it's just some more colour in the sky would have been good. Let's just try something. I'm going to do a different layer and try a different colour. There was a lot of pinks, maybe not that strong, a light pink. Okay. Oh, no, that doesn't really work, does it? If we did this and then turned it right down, no. What if we had both colours? No. Get rid of the pink. I think the orange works the best. What do you think? Sometimes with these things, each image is really different and you never know what you're going to get until you try it. So sometimes I will add a colour layer like that to enhance a fairly mediocre sunset. Sometimes not. I mean, I think the trick is to make sure you put it over the whole image and not just part of it, because sometimes it can look really odd if the sky's got these lovely colours, but then the rest of the photo doesn't look like it was taken in that light. So you have to be really careful about that. Okay, so actually we might save this. I should have saved the others too. We'll save as, we'll do it 3. Okay, let's have a look at another image. So what's the other thing we're going to do? Gradients. Gradients, they've changed how they do gradients on, it's this one here, the gradient map. So if we click on this, interesting, it often takes the 2 colours that you had last down here, which was the pink. If I go back to normal, let's just delete that and see what happens if, it's not going to do it. Anyway, you have to blend this. I nearly always use soft light for this. Obviously, I don't want those colours. And this is where it can be quite good because you can decide what colours you want. So you can see here this goes from pink to white. So it looks like the pinks are more in the shadows and the white is in the highlights. So if we pick the pink, we just click on this little box down here. You can see here it comes up with the colour. So if you just click on that, you get all your colour picker, and you can change what colour it is. And if you've done the blending and everything beforehand, you get real, like you get to see it for real as it's actually happening. I actually really like that. First click. Let's try, because it was sort of sunset, let's try orange. No, let's go back to the pinks. Let's say okay. So you can see there we've got that colour. And then if we go over to this one, which is white, now we can go in and we can pick a different colour for the highlights. Let's go a bit extreme. Okay, so you can sort of get that. Now, I've always been fascinated by this process since watching movies like, if you've ever seen The Matrix, and you can see that they change the colours, like they have a yellowy green colour in the highlights, and it looks like sort of more a dark green or blue in the shadows. It makes it quite interesting. I really don't like that, but let's go up here a bit. So it's really good because it's real time, and as you're doing it and as you're changing it, you can see the colours that you're going to get. The top of the sky is obviously blown out quite a bit, so it's always going to be really hard. I mean, you could probably add a colour to that if you add a colour to the whole image like we just did. But that more of a orange. Yeah, that's not too bad. I could live with that. What do you think? So then you just press OK, go back in, and then that's it, it's done. So again, you can go on and off. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Does it look too strong? Maybe if it looks too strong, you can change the opacity of that layer so it's not so strong. So that's the original image, and that's with the gradient mapping. Play around with it, see what you can get. It can be fun. I mean, you have lots of choices. Like if we go to another one and you do it, let's turn this other one off again. See, look, it went to black and white then. And then if you click on this, you get lots of choices up here too. So you can get all these, like there's presets, and you can change things, and you can do, I don't tend to like, I think a lot of these look really weird. So I don't tend to use them, but I mean, you might like them. Let's close that one. So you can just play. Playing is the best way of learning anything. Ooh. Yeah. Not so sure about some of these. That one's not too bad. Let's try some oranges. Yeah. Oh, greys. Why would you do greys? Oh, I guess I know why, but it's quite interesting. Greens. So again, just play. See what, I mean, it's all personal preference anyway. What I like, you might not like, and what you like, I may not like. But I'm going to cancel all of those, and I'm going to delete that layer, and I'm going to keep, why doesn't it delete? And I'm going to keep that original one because I don't mind that. And I'm going to save this again. I should have saved the other ones. Oh no. Oh well, doesn't matter. Or does it? Let me just delete. I just made a mistake. I should always do save as. You never want to ruin your original images. So let's do this one as save as. We'll do 0 so I know it was the original. Okay. So if we go back, there you go. You can see those two if I highlight them both and go up. Hopefully you can see this. So that was the original, and that's what we just did. Same thing with the car. That was the original, and that's what we did. Now that's pretty much all the 4 different ways that we were talking about with curves, the gradient mapping, changing the hues. I'll have to go back and do that one. And what was the other? And just adding a colour. The last one I wanted to play around with and try a few of those different techniques. This is a photo that I took in New Zealand of that Wanaka tree. And this is the colour that the original image actually came out. Why won't it open? Okay. So, like the purpley colours, nice, but not necessarily what I would want in this image. So maybe one of the first things we can try is the hue and saturation. Maybe if we try, let's try the blues and just see if we can change it around to a colour that we quite like. Well, that's changing the colours on the tree as well. I think like the yellow kind of works, but I don't like what it's doing around these trees, so I'm not overly keen on this. I mean, maybe we can try a different colour. Let's try, I'm not really sure about the magentas. No. Oh, it is changing the trees over here, but not much else. Let's reset that. What about reds? Oh, changing the wrong thing again. Yeah, apparently the only red in this image is over here, so let's forget that. Yeah, I think the only thing that's going to change with this one would be the blues. So I think you'd have to be careful how you did it. So if we did that, maybe if we bring it down a bit, it's quite interesting. It's almost brought it into black and white. Actually, I don't mind that. That's probably more like how it actually was. Okay, let's turn that layer off. Now let's try just adding a colour to it. What colour will we add? We've still got that tool selected. We do not want pink. Let's try a yellow or an orange and see what happens. Okay, again, let's go through the, it's going to end up making it green, I think. Yeah. It's not very attractive, is it? I mean, even if we tone it down a bit, it's not too bad. It's actually probably done the best job of actually getting rid of that, that sort of purpley mauvey colour. And that is probably closest to, probably the closest it was to actually the real colour of how it actually was. It's interesting. Okay, so we've tried that. What was, oh, let's try curves. Okay, so it was kind of the blues. So let's see if we just add some, oh, that's, we should get rid of that. The problem with this is it'll affect the whole image. It's kind of making it all a bit too green. What if we added with the red? We added a tiny bit of red to the highlights. That's not too bad either. I don't mind that. I could live with that. Okay. One more thing that we're going to try is the gradient mapping. God, I'm having so much trouble thinking about all these things. Okay, let's just do the soft light. And we know yellows work best, so are there any yellows? Oranges, pinks, purples, blues. Let's try the oranges. That could be okay. Some of these I really find too extreme. I don't really like any of those. What's cloud? No. Pastels? It's not really getting rid of that purpley colour. It's kind of almost highlighting it more. Okay, what I would do in this instance is, let's just go okay, but reset it. Press this and we'll change the colours ourselves. I don't really want black, but I don't mind there being a little, maybe a bit of grey. Okay. And then in the highlights, I think we want some yellows. Not so green though. It's not quite working as well as I'd hoped it would. If I keep coming down here, it's just going to make it darker. Oh, actually, a yellowy green colour, which makes sense. Green. Yeah. If you want to get rid of some blue, add more yellow to it, which is what you do when you take photos with tungsten lighting and you get yellow photos, you add blue to them. So I guess it makes sense to add, yeah. Okay, so let's turn that off and we'll go through each one and just have a quick look at which ones worked and which ones didn't. I'll have to save each one. I actually really like that one. I really like that one too. I think this one, which was the curves, and just adding a colour to the overall image worked best. Okay, well, that's pretty much it for today. Let me know what you think. Which one did you like the best? Have you tried any of these? And is changing colours something that you're interested in doing to your photos? Let me know, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.